In this episode of Access Africa Business in the City, we focus on ocean economies. Join me in Mauritius, Port Louis, as we find out all there is to know about this new industry that has collaborative efforts between South Africa, Mauritius, the Seychelles, just to name a few. My name is Yelang Pruchinka, and this is Access Africa Business in the City. With South Africa as a member state of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, Brand South Africa has a mandate that focuses on developing and growing the ocean's economy on the continent. Dr. Kingsley Makubela, CEO of Brand South Africa, gives context to this endeavor.
Well, Africa is surrounded by water. So the ocean are a key resource for Africa's development. For many years, people have looked at the ocean economy as a source of exploration of oil and gas and so on. It provides more than that. I think the new approach that deals with the ocean economy looks at the totality of how the ocean economy can contribute to the development of the African economies, be it marine transportation, better utilization of transport amongst African countries, but it also provides a route to the outside world. And if you look at us in Africa, we don't have a lot of carrier ships that are registered in our own countries. They are all flying flags of different countries. And I think really highlighting the importance of the ocean economy will bring some of these issues to the fore. In the past, plagued by perception of piracy within the oceans, and transportation has been a major influence of bigger countries. But unlocking that potential would require us understanding how they can contribute. For instance, between South Africa and Somalia, you have a huge migration of the fish species that are moving between the two countries throughout the year. So it's the understanding of the potential of that. We have the hot Benguela and the cold Mozambique currencies that are also providing different dynamics, and the access to the entire continent is very useful. In Africa, fortunately, we're interdependent on each other. The success of South Africa is the success of Kenya and vice versa. And really, there are countries that are landlocked that really need access to the oceans. We need to work with those countries that are landlocked so that they have access to send their produce to the oceans and transport them. The ocean transportation is still the cheapest and yet the fastest. Not only of the countries that are having access to the sea route, but even those who are landlocked, they would have the potential to grow.
Up next, we speak to Mr. Robinson, who is the president of the South African Chamber of Commerce in Mauritius.
So Mauritius in particular, let's take that as an example, has got an exclusive economic zone of 2.3 million square kilometers, which is a vast amount of land, with an additional 360,000 square kilometers, which on the continental shelf would share with Seychelles. Mauritius's plan is to try and extract as much value from this ocean economy as possible, identifying areas that they can extract value such as seabed mining, deep well mining, biotechnology, tourism. There's a huge number of areas that you can identify, and this knowledge will be shared amongst all these rim countries, these Indian Ocean rim countries. There's an organization where the secretariat actually is based in Mauritius called the Indian Ocean Rim Association, IRA, and that consists of 20 member states. So from as far flung as India and Australia, right down to South Africa, and includes Mauritius. The biggest benefit is the fact that this is an area that you can play in, and you can dictate who plays in it. So, for example, you can sell fishing rights inside your economic zone, because it belongs to that particular country. And Mauritius is very fortunate because it has such a massive exclusive economic zone, because Mauritius is made up of a variety of different islands. That comes with its own challenges, because now you have to police your exclusive economic zone. So there's capacity constraints, and you're relying upon some of your partners and some of your neighbors to help you to police that. It's critical that government sets the regulation from the outset. And Pakisa is a good example of that, because Mauritius is looking to Pakisa to set some sort of standard, and they put a lot of time and effort into drawing up those guidelines. I do think that Pakisa will play a role in shaping the ocean economy in the Indian Ocean, along with what they're doing in Australia and Asian countries and India, etc. They'll all pull together and come up with the right model that suits Africa.
So the vision of the government is that our ocean economy becomes a new and strong pillar. And basically to do that, the government of Mauritius as such, has been one of the first, if not the first, of the SIDS countries to structure a very specific vision in the development of the ocean economy with clear-cut sectors, which I mentioned before, like aquaculture, seafood, and even port, seabed mining, etc., and to enable the unlocking of this whole potential and achieving our targets in terms of job creation, creation of additional revenues for the country. So when we are talking, for example, about the technical enablers, so relevant institutions were put in place. The Mauritius Oceanographic Institute, a dedicated ministry for the development of the ocean economy, the Mauritius Research Council, and even the University of Mauritius with a specific department of ocean studies. And even there, government believes that the unlocking of the whole potential of the ocean economy cannot be made only by leveraging on the existing capacity. It's a huge challenge, and based on this thought, all the institutions are working in close collaboration with institutional experts to beef up the capacity and the training capacity. The regulatory framework for the development of ocean economy is specific to the sector. Right? When we are talking about, for example, fisheries, we have a specific act, which is the Fisheries and Marine Resources Act, which guides this sector. It is extremely clear for that company how they can start a business in Mauritius. The Board of Investment is here not only to promote the sector, but also to facilitate the implementation of the project and even facilitating the operation of the project at certain points in time, like unlocking certain bottlenecks throughout the process of the business, because that is what Mauritius wants to do and has always been doing. At least tell investors, when you come to Mauritius, it's a country which is friendly, it's a country which has provided you with a commitment of assisting you in doing what you want to do, and that we walk the talk in supporting them. These kind of projects are extremely complex. Complex, require research, require assistance. So when the government of Mauritius, when government says we want the ocean economy to happen, I think the government means business. And by meaning business, it means that we are here to put all the facilitations, we are here to get the strategy right, and we are here to help the investors achieve their business ambition, and in the same time help Mauritius to raise to its ambitions.
This is African Leadership University, based in Mauritius. Next, I speak to Fred Swanica, the man behind the vision, and he sheds some light on what it is he seeks to achieve with this brand new concept on the continent.
Well, what we're doing to alleviate the challenge of education in Africa is really trying to bring a fresh approach, a high-quality approach, and an approach that is grounded in African realities. While education is a challenge in Africa, leadership is an even greater challenge. We believe that education should be not for education's sake, but for a purpose. So we are trying to build a set of institutions that will educate a new generation of leaders, instill in them the right values, and prepare them to be able to actually take the continent forward. You know, we do less than 15% of our trade with each other as Africans, and the other 85% is with the rest of the world. And so we talk about having a GDP of over $2 trillion and a population of 1 billion. All of that is meaningless unless we can bring our countries together. I just realized how so many of our challenges, when I analyzed them, I always came down to one answer, which was leadership. And I saw we're doing a lot to treat the symptoms of bad leadership. You know, we're dealing with all the fallout of warfare or corruption and inefficient governments and so forth, and lack of good leadership in the private sector as well. We weren't growing our economies enough. We weren't creating the jobs that we need. We didn't have entrepreneurs who could really create the wealth that we need on the continent. And so I thought, do we just sit and hope that these leaders that we need appear by accident? Or could we find a more systematic way to actually manufacture the leaders that we need?
In this episode of Access Africa Business in the City, we've had great exposure to partnerships and collaborations between South Africa and the cities in which business is being done. Brand South Africa has brought us this far, and we thank you for watching. My name is Yelang Prujinka.